Hello and welcome to That's Football. How are we all doing this Wednesday morning in the midst of all the World Cup? Because that's all we ever seem to be doing. But there is some transfer news going on, and it's very interesting transfer news in relation to Arsenal. They've made a couple of deals. So Leno has signed from Germany, which we'll discuss in a minute. But more importantly, Jack Wilshere, Mr. Arsenal, been there for 19 years, since he was 9. Actually, that's wrong. He's been there since he was 7. Will leave Arsenal at the age of 26. There is talk of him coming to Manchester United, which I want to talk about in a minute. But first of all, let's give Jack the respect he deserves in Arsenal. Arsenal released a statement last night via their Twitter. A lot of Arsenal fans not happy to see him go. Jack Wilshere himself saying that I was willing to sign a reduced financial package to stay at Arsenal, but in discussions with the manager, he said I was going to get reduced playing time, and at this stage of my career, I need first team football. So it's not about the money. It's not about leaving Arsenal, jumping ship. It's not a Van Persie or Sanchez situation. It is a player who loves Arsenal being forced out of the club because, quite rightly, because the manager doesn't want him to be there. Now, where Wilshere will go becomes quite interesting, but it's interesting because I support Manchester United. I do the United Stand YouTube channel as well. My stance in relation to Jack Wilshere is very similar to Phil Jones at Manchester United. I wouldn't want to take him. Free, don't care about free. Doesn't bother me about free. Radja Nainggolan's going to Inter Milan for 20 million and he is infinitely better than Jack Wilshere. Okay, he's 3 years older, but 20 million is a bargain for Nainggolan. That's who you should go for. Thiago at Bayern Munich is available for £50 million. He is a bargain. That is who you should go for. Free Jack Wilshere doesn't matter. Free doesn't matter. Jack Wilshere's a good player. I wouldn't want him anywhere near Manchester United for 3 reasons, really. 3, not free. 3, because 1, he's Mr. Arsenal and he's been forced out of Arsenal against his will. So why would I want him at United? I'm a bit old school like that. 2, ability-wise, there's a lot better players than him. He's not won major trophies. He's a good player, but he's not going to the World Cup for a reason. He's fit. He's not going as part of the English World Cup squad for a reason. Arsenal are getting rid of him for a reason. It's this make-believe that Jack Wilshere's a top player and I think he can go and rebuild his career. But Manchester United are trying to close a £20 million gap and a 20-point gap with Manchester City. And you don't do that with Jack Wilshere. And third and most important thing for me, and this should be for everybody, I mean, Nick says he's not good enough for United, probably. But the biggest thing is, like Phil Jones, he's injury prone. He is injury prone and he doesn't come with the pedigree that's good enough. Like, Gareth Bale's a little bit injury prone, but he's one of the top 5 players in the world. Jack Wilshere's not even the top 5 English midfielders, and he's injury prone. It's not worth doing it. I think people get lost in the free, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. From a Manchester United point, it's not worth it. I tell you who it's worth for. Teams like Wolves, teams like Bournemouth, which is where he was on loan. People forget that. Jack Wilshere was on loan at Bournemouth. And he did okay. He is not going to win you a Premier League title. He's not going to win you the Champions League. And I think top 6 clubs are looking at that. And if United went and did a deal like that, it would be totally about saving money. And why Manchester United are trying to save money when they're the richest club in the world? Because to give it to their shareholders. I mean, that's not what football's all about. So, no, I wouldn't want him at United, but I do wish him all the best. Bio20 says I'd rather have Aaron Ramsey. Yeah, I'd rather have Aaron Ramsey because he's actually a first-team player for Arsenal and he plays week in, week out. So, see where he goes with Wilshere, but, forced out of Arsenal effectively. Dangerous game the Arsenal manager's playing. Brave game he's playing. He's making his own decisions. Leno, let me just talk about him a minute before we talk about the rest of the transfers news that's going on. Boateng to Manchester United is looking quite interesting. But in relation to Arsenal, Leno's gone there. Arsenal fans quite happy with some of the business they're doing. I saw Liechtensteiner against, who was he playing for in the World Cup? At Denmark, wasn't it? Against Peru. And, he's very old and he's a good backup fullback for them. Leno, he's a good goalkeeper, but I think I've said this so many times that I'm not digging Arsenal out here. If you can get 5th place, it'll be a brilliant season for you. I mean, who are you going to dislodge? Your squad's in a massive, massive disarray. You've not got loads of money to spend. Leno's a decent keeper, but he's not De Gea standard. He's not Lloris standard, and he's not Courtois standard. He's not Edison standard. He's a 5th or 6th in the league standard goalkeeper, and that is probably an improvement on Petr Cech, but he's not even part of the German squad, and they take 3 goalkeepers. He's a good keeper, but I'd put him on a level with a Jordan Pickford or a Jack Butland. I seriously would. That's not winding Arsenal fans up. He's a good goalkeeper, but he's not one of the best in the world, and that's why he's been stuck playing for a top 7 German club, and no big clubs come in for him. He's a good keeper. He's not a great keeper. Alexis Sanchez is the prime example. Arsenal players aren't good enough for United, says Kenneth. Well, let's see where Jack Wilshere goes, but I wouldn't take him at United. And Pankaj says, well, would you take him if Fellaini leaves? Well, that's a bit like saying, would you take a kick in the nuts rather than barbed wire brushing your teeth? It's painful either way. I think I'd rather United, richest club in the world, went and bought decent players and didn't do free signings that make no sense. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the other transfer news. Remember, that's football. We normally do midday transfer news, but we've knocked it forward till 9 o'clock for the next couple of weeks because of all the World Cup stuff. And we are live again at 1 o'clock with a Portugal versus Morocco watch along. Then it's Uruguay versus Saudi Arabia. Then it's Spain, Iran tonight. All 3 games watch alongs on That's Football. So make sure you subscribe and get involved. It's been fantastic on the World Cup so far. So Chelsea look like they're going to sort out their manager situation, which is very, very important. Sarri will be coming from Napoli now, and that's expected to be announced very, very, very soon. And he's apparently made Dries Martins from Napoli his top target when he takes over at Stamford Bridge. That's been reported by The Telegraph. Gianfranco Zola is allegedly going to be his assistant manager at Chelsea, which is quite interesting. And this is now starting to get momentum, what I've been saying for a while. A lot of people are talking about Arsenal's rebuild, new manager, new signings, etc., etc. Chelsea are going to outdo them. The manager they're going to get in will be better, and the money they have available will be far more, and the squad he's inheriting is further advanced than Arsenal. I think Arsenal have got a massively hard season ahead of them, and I'll be amazed if they can finish higher than 6th. And that's not, as I say, I'm not slating Arsenal. I just think the job Emery's got to do is going to take a lot of patience from Arsenal fans, and I hope that they've got that patience. Emre Can will be joining Juventus this very, very soon. Even Di Marzio's on about it now. I've been talking about this for 3 months on this channel, so that's going to happen. Crystal Palace want to keep Wilfried Zaha, and they're offering him 120 grand a week. To hold off interest from Tottenham. That's massive money for Crystal Palace to pay. That's been reported in the Mirror. Arsenal also looking to hold talks with Banega of Sevilla, who's currently playing with Argentina. I tell you what, if Arsenal can do a deal like that, that is a development signing. That is a good positive signing. Liechtensteiner as a backup. Forget what his name is. Socrates, decent centre-back. Leno, decent goalkeeper. The Uruguayan midfielder they're trying to get, is it Torreira? Decent midfielder, but you get someone like Banega in and you're starting to make the right sort of steps there. Yeah, he's 29, but he is top quality, and that would improve. If you're getting rid of Wilshere to bring in Banega, that makes a lot of sense, and maybe that's what Emery's looking at doing. Tottenham and Arsenal have entered the race to sign Liverpool striker Ryan Brewster. From the 18-year-old is yet to sign his first professional contract. That would be very interesting if Liverpool allowed him to go. I'm sure they won't do, but they need to start giving him some game time. Tottenham are keeping a close eye on Lyon's 21-year-old French midfielder and Ndombele, but have not made contact with the League One club side. Very interesting player he is. If you speak to anybody about up-and-coming midfielders, he's got a bit of an attitude, but he gets mentioned by a lot. He's not been linked to any of the big clubs yet, but that would be typical of a signing of Pochettino and Tottenham to go and get a player that nobody's really looking at the moment who's the next big thing. So it'd be interesting to see if Tottenham do that. I mean, just talking about Tottenham and good signings, I thought Davinson Sanchez was a fantastic signing for Spurs last season, but that's the worst performance I've seen in a World Cup so far yesterday for Colombia. He was atrocious. I don't know whether it was Titus Bramble or Davinson Sanchez. He was really, really bad, but he's had a good season for Spurs, and they do have a good reputation of signing those sort of players. So we'll see what happens with that. And Wolves and Portugal winger Ivan Carvalho has no intention of leaving Molineux. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this loud and clear again, because I have been saying it for about the last 8 months. Wolverhampton Wanderers will finish in the top 8 in the Premier League next season. They are going to hit that league by storm. They're not going to be challenging for the top 4. That's not going to happen. But they are going to be a very, very good team, and they've got money to spend, and they suit the Premier League better than they suit the Championship. So very, very good team, Wolves, and they're going to do very, very, very well in the Premier League next season. A few shocks. In fact, I think they play United in their first 6 games. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some points there. Pankaj says Wolves are going to smash Arsenal 3-0. Well, Wolves, I mean, if Wolves can get some consistency, the trouble Wolves are going to have is that I think on their day they can beat a lot of teams, but will they be used to going to places like Burnley and getting results? That's where I'm not so sure about Wolves, whether they've got the consistency or not. But they're not even a surprise package. They're going to do well. And a bit like Mexico in the World Cup, really. They're that sort of surprise. People are calling it a surprise package. It's not. All the evidence is there that they can do well. And they could battle Arsenal for 6th. As I've said before, though, I don't want to totally destroy Arsenal, because if they do bring Banega in, it helps them a lot. And if Arsenal get 4th place, I think Emery deserves Manager of the Year. It will be that much of an improvement to take over Wenger, to take over that squad, and then to get into the top 4. I just think, looking at it, United, City, Spurs, Liverpool, their football and their squad and their financial packages this summer are far, far better than Arsenal. And Chelsea, I believe, are going to go and try and get in the top 4 as well. So it makes it very, very hard for Arsenal. The Walking R says Wolves will finish in the top 10, not the top 8. Don't get too excited. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. Come back in a year's time and let's see who's right. And if Mourinho doesn't change, Mark, I'm with you. Jose out. I'm not Jose out. I'm SK47. So we're together because we're not Jose out. And Nick Pendragon says, if United got Ronaldo, made him captain and got rid of the deadwood, played the kids, the lone players in the Busby way, we'd have a great season and know exactly where we are at for 2019. Well, Ronaldo's playing at 1 o'clock. I'd be amazed if Real Madrid let Ronaldo go. I really, really would. And the Walking R says, I'm upset Wilshere is left, but maybe another step to stamp out the failure over the past decade. Yeah, you know what? I think it's a brave decision by Emery. And I think it's the sort of thing that as fans, if it goes wrong, they'll point back at letting Mr. Arsenal, Jack Wilshere, go. And he is Mr. Arsenal. He loves that club. But fair play to a manager to come in and make big decisions like that. I think it's a big decision that United always wanted with Rooney and Mourinho, and it took him a year to do it, but it was the right decision. It was a right decision. If Bayern wanted Martial for 100 million, I would drive him there, says CO Tully. Yeah, interesting. I mean, just talking about Bayern Munich, Jerome Boateng to Manchester United is looking more likely than Toby Alderweireld at the moment. He's a good centre-back, but I just worry about, I saw him against Mexico, and his lack of pace. I don't know, that could get hurt in the Premier League, but he is a good player. He's good on the ball. He's very tall, and he's very strong, and he's very experienced. And maybe that's what United need as a left-sided centre-back, but, you know. Anyway, only meant to be a quick update show. Lots of transfer news going on. We are going to bring it back. I'm more likely going to do it at around 9 a.m. instead of 12 p.m. because of the 1 o'clock kickoffs. But I want to get the transfer shows back. So please do drop a like. Please do give us your comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And we're on the road to 40,000 subscribers, which we're trying to do while the World Cup's on. And remember, if you are watching World Cup games, we're doing watch-alongs for all of them. Live just before 1 o'clock today for the first one. Ronaldo's Portugal against Morocco. Morocco, like Egypt, could be leaving this World Cup and if they lose today. And Ronaldo looking to add to his tally for the Golden Boot. 3 goals for him at the moment. Chernev of Russia now has 3 goals after 2 games. Costa playing against Iran tonight. So I think Ronaldo needs a couple to keep himself up at the top of that Golden Boot. So thanks for watching. I'll see you all at 1 o'clock. See you all soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.